ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Inshallah, today we'll talk about a very important act of worship that half an hour or so is not enough, of course. It needs series and days of discussing this matter, because the Iman, half of it is about it, and there are many verses in the Quran that talks about it. Over 100 verses in the Quran that talks about this thing that without it, the Muslim, there's no deen without it. And that is as-sabr, patience. As-sabr, and what to talk about sabr in this short period of time. Just something, some of the examples, some of the verses of the Quran, some of the hadith, some of the sayings of the people of knowledge with regarding to sabr, so that we would endure sabr and to get to learn how to have sabr. Because there's so many problems in understanding actually what sabr is. Sometimes people think that sabr is a negative attitude, that you abstain and that's it. Abstain from what? It doesn't matter, as long as you abstain from something. But sabr is an act of worship, something that a person would do, and to endure patience while doing this. Umar radiallahu anhu, he said in a very beautiful statement, he said, وَجَدْنَا خَيْرَ عَيْشِنَا الصَّبْرِ. We found that the best of our life was in sabr. The best times that we had was when we were doing sabr. And also alayhi radiallahu anhu, he said, الصَّبْرُ مَطِيَّةٌ لَا تَكْلَ. Sabr is a matiyya, is something that you would ride, and it never falls or breaks. Transportation, something that keeps you going, and it never breaks. If a person would have sabr, that means he will be able to go as far as he wants with matters of goodness and matters of good deeds and so on. And the sabr is mentioned again in the Quran in many verses in the Quran, and sometimes it's mentioned as sabr, sometimes it's mentioned as wasabiru, and this is called al-musabara. Sabr is patience, right? And as we mentioned it before, it's of three types, as the ulama they say, if you look into the verses of the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. To have sabr in abstaining from sins, to have sabr to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do, ta'ah, and the third type is to have sabr with regards to the calamity that afflicts a person. And the real definition of as-sabr, the word as-sabr comes from the Arabic word that says al-habs. Al-habs means what? When somebody is locked up, this is what habs is.
Sijin, right?
Sijin, like the sijin. Habs is when you, I don't know exactly, I should have searched for a good English word for it, but it's basically, as the ulama, they give it the definition to it. الحبس أو حبس النفس على ما يقتضيه العقل والشرع. حبس النفس على ما يقتضيه الشرع. The sabr in the religious meanings is when you lock your nafs, when you abstain your nafs yourself on what the shara is ordering you to do. That means your nafs is basically in state of being abstained from what? It's not abstain from something. It's you make yourself on whatever the shara, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering you to do. So you don't have a say, you don't have a desire that is leading you. Right? The thing that will get you moving, you are in a position or in a state that you are silent, you are in sukoon, you are in a static position, you're not moving, you're not doing anything, you're not saying anything, you're not moving a hand, you're not moving a foot, you're not having a desire that is taking you forward, you're not doing anything, right? Unless you would find that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you, then you would do. This is what sabr is. Is it clear? So you're doing something to abstain from everything. Doesn't mean that you're not doing anything, you're doing everything, but according to the deen of Islam. You're doing everything according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. So whether you would do something permissible, whether you would do something recommended, whether you would do something obligatory, and you stay away from what is haram, what is disliked. And anything in our life, can be categorized according to these 5 rulings. So it's حبس النفس على ما يقتضيه الشرع. Right? As if this nafs is something that if you leave it, it runs away. Right? It renegates. And it takes you to your own destruction. So you have to hold it. You have to lock it up. Right? And the only time that you let it out is according to the deen of Islam. This might sound a scary thing, but it's basically to follow the deen of Islam according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most wise, He's the most merciful subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He would never ever deprive a human being from a desire that He created them with. He would only be regulated to do what is right and to do what is benefiting and to abstain from what is evil. And there's no desire in human beings unless you would find a way to fulfill this desire in the deen of Islam properly. So if we look into, and many meanings of course, but the word al-musabara, as it's mentioned in the last verse of Surah Al-Imran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اصْبِرُوا وَصَابِرُوا وَرَابِطُوا وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. اصْبِرُوا وَصَابِرُوا. 2 words have the same roots, same meaning. اصْبِرُوا means have patience. وَصَابِرُوا, right? This comes into the meaning there is 2 people here involved. 2 things involved in sabr. اصبروا, be patient, this is clear. The other one means if someone against you is having sabr, make your sabr defeat your sabr. Right? If someone's against you, the struggle between the truth and falsehood. And those who are in the falsehood, they are having sabr, they're having patience to oppose you. They're having patience to get you down, to make you deviated, to take you away from the straight path. And they're enduring patience to do that. So the verse means, let you have more sabr that would defeat his sabr. So that you would defeat him when it comes to matters of sabr. So you will have more patience in the deen of Islam, more than his patience to destroy you or to deviate you or to get you away. Understand what I'm saying? Whether it's something physical or the many temptations that try to take the people away from the straight path. Right? So your sabr has to be stronger than this. And people endure patience. Human beings without patience, they cannot live. They endure patience to seek money, they endure patience to study, they endure patience to fight the truth, they do many things. They suffer basically, in many cases, to do whatever is benefiting to them. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have the patience and seek the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter when it comes to applying the orders of Allah. So it's not just sabr within oneself. No, you have to defeat others, your enemies, and one of which is the shaitan and others, right? The human enemies, the shaitan and everything, you defeat them with the sabr. That your sabr would overtake their patience trying to deviate you and so on. If we look into the verses of the Quran that talks about sabr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the very important ayah that we hear all the time when it comes to seeking anything of benefit in our life. And this is according to the orders of the verses mentioned in the Quran. From the beginning of the Quran, if you start reciting the Quran, then get all the verses that talks about sabr. Right? The first one mentioned in this order of the Quran, how it is in Surah Al-Baqarah is وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Right? Seek help in patience and in salah. وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. And the salah is big, is heavy, except for those who have khushu'. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering us to seek help in 2 things. Seeking help on what? Seeking help on how to be steadfast in the deen of Islam with 2 things, with sabr and patience. With sabr and salah. You want to seek help to do anything in your life, whether it's physical thing or religious thing. You feel in yourself that you're, for example, being greedy. You want to give more money in charity. Seek help in patience and in salah. Be patient. Give and be patient. Give because you know that this is a good thing and you will get reward by doing that, and endure patience. What does that mean? Lock yourself, right, with the deen. Give and don't let yourself panic or go out of place. You know, be content. Seek rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you know that this is the right thing. You want to pray in the masjid, all the salawat. You want to pray Fajr, you're missing Fajr in Salat al-Jama'ah, for example. Right? Seek help in patience and in salah. Patience meaning that you would do things against your own desire as a human being. Waking up early, making sure that you would go even with things that is not convenient, and so on and so forth, right? And in salah, make salah to help you establish the salah. So praying the salah, and while in the salah to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the very important means if a person wants to have khushu' in the salah is to seek help in patience and salah. Don't give up on having the khushu' in the salah, and increase your salah. Make more salah to have khushu' in the salah. So make more salah, pray more, so that you would have khushu' in the salah. This ayah, it would not fail in anything that you want to do of a good thing. You know that something that is good, you want to do it, always remember this ayah first. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. This is an easy answer for anyone that is asking you for advice about anything. I cannot, I'm this or that, even at work, right? Seek help in patience and salah. Salah will help you that your patience will be of a sweet feeling to it. It's not something that will be bitter. Also, in the orders of the verses in Surah Al-Baqarah, also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about the story of Talut and Jalut and how the fight between them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the messenger to tell the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Talut from among them. And the test that he made his people to go through, this was on Bani Israel. They were in the tea, in the desert. They were lost for how many years? For 40 years, right? As a result of their sins. And where is this desert? This is the Sinai desert. If someone in any point of this desert, right, take a point there and decided to go any direction, but just go for a straight line, how long would it take for him or for the people to find a way out? 5 days, a month, 2 months, 6 months? They would reach a destination, they would find the sea, they would find something. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused them to be in loss for 40 years in this area. They could not find a way out. So a whole generation was raised in this tea, in this lost, being away from being humiliated when they were at the time of Fir'aun. Because they got used to be humiliated, they got used to be scared of tyrannies and so on. So a new generation, free from all this distractions and all this disease of being humiliated matters of the deen. When Musa alayhi salam told them to go to Jerusalem, they said, "Idhab anta wa rabbuka faqatila innaha huna qa'idun." You and your Lord go fight, and you will stay here. Right? This is the disease of humility that they get used to it. So that's why they were lost for 40 years, till a new generation came and they removed this from their hearts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory on their hands, but before the victory, they went through a very harsh test. This is something that if we discuss these verses, it takes a long time. But the part of the verse is, when Talut took the army, and he says, قَالَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مُبْتَلِيكُمْ بِنَهَرٍ فَمَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهُ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي وَمَنْ لَمْ يَطْعَمْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي إِلَّا مَنْ اغْتَرَفَ غُرْفَةً بِيَدِهِ. He told them, there's a river coming, and this is a test for you. Whoever drinks from it is not from me, he's out. And whoever does not taste it, he's from me, except someone that would take just with his hand. They were so thirsty, dying of thirst. What is only permissible for them is to take a handful of water, and that's it. So what happened? فَشَرِبُوا مِنْهُ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They all drank from it except a few. This test was meant for those who have patience, that victory would be given to them. Not the ones that are still following their desires and living their life luxuriously. Only few of them, they didn't, and they obeyed the orders of the ruler. فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَهُ هُوَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. When they passed it, قَالُوا لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا الْيَوْمَ بِجَالُوتَ وَجُنُودِهِ. We have no power and strength whatsoever to face Jalut and his army. قَالَ الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو اللَّهِ. Those who have the certainty that they would meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that what carries the person to have patience. Those who they have certainty, and يظنون here not expecting, no, they have certainty, they have the yaqeen that they would meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the belief in the hereafter, the hearts when it's attached to the hereafter, that's what makes the sabr easy. Otherwise the person will give up. So those who wait for them to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the day of judgment, they said, كَم مِّن فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ غَلَبَتْ فِئَةً كَثِيرَةً بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. They said, how many times, this is the sunnah of Allah, that a few amount of people would defeat the huge number of their enemies by the permission of Allah, وَاللَّهُ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with those who have sabr, with the sabirin. This ma'iyya or this ma'a means with them, with His power subhanahu wa ta'ala and the support and the help. Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with all of His creation, with His knowledge and power subhanahu wa ta'ala, but with the believers, with those who have sabr, supporting them, helping them. So this is the way of Allah, which is not the way of the human beings. Any army in the world would never do that to his army, right? That he would choose that only few of them would go and meet the mighty enemies, right? But it doesn't matter, it's not about number, it's about the quality of those people, those who would fight for the sake of Allah, as we read. They had to have this quality of as-sabr. Many, again, verses of the Quran that talks about this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gave victory to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and to the companions in the battle of Badr. وَلَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you victory in Badr. Why you are adilla? Adilla meaning humiliated. It was said has two meanings. Humiliated meaning that you were outnumbered by your enemies. The Prophet and his companion were 300 something and the disbelievers 1,000. Right? The other meaning when you were adilla to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you humbled yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you victory. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذْ تَقُولُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَلَنْ يَكْفِيَكُمْ أَنْ يُمِدَّكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ بِثَلَاثَةِ آلَافٍ مِنَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ مُنزَلِينَ بَلَى إِن تَصْبِرُوا وَتَتَّقُوا وَيَأْتُوكُم مِّن فَوْرِهِمْ هَذَا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will aid you with 3,000 from the angels. إِن تَصْبِرُوا وَتَتَّقُوا. If you have patience and you have taqwa, then the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would come to you. And that's why there is always sabr, sometimes is linked to something else. Here, sabr and taqwa. In other verses, sabr and yaqeen. Right? The sabr and certainty. And again, the certainty is what carries the person to have the sabr. To have the patience is the certainty in the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raising this ummah to get to know the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. That without sabr, there is no deen, there is no support, there is no help. أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنكُمْ وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Do you think that you would enter Jannah and you didn't know about those who before you, the way of Allah, those who would fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He would know them subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you would, do you think that you would enter Jannah without the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes in shahada, in the way that people would see it on the world, those who fight for the sake of Allah and those who have patience. So they have to be exposed, they have to be tested, so that the patience of them would show, and these are the people that deserve the victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, the verses of the Quran that talks about the prophets of Allah, those who have the patience, many of the prophets of Allah, of course, and the sabr on matters of calamities, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَنَبِلْوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. That we will test you with regard to some of the ju', some hunger, and some loss of wealth, and some loss of life, right? And this is the nature of this life. And it's something that the people will be tested with. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Give the glad tidings, give the good news to those who have sabr. Those when the calamity afflicts them, they say, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. To Allah will belong and to Allah we shall return. These are the two things that a person, if he has in his heart, then sabr becomes so easy. The deen of Islam becomes, by the will of Allah, something so easy for a person to endure. We belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the owner of all things, and we shall return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So acting according to this, acting according to the implications of this, believing in it, right, and acting according to this. If we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of all things, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to take whatever He bestowed on us, then this is the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person should be content, should be happy, should seek rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and anyway, everybody shall return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the same thing when it comes to obeying the orders of Allah. A person needs to have the patience to fulfill the orders of Allah, to face people when it comes to the fitna that comes from people, being shy from them, being scared of them, when it comes to matters of provisions, and if we think of the sins that people would commit, right, why they commit sins, whether it's because of their own desire that they're following, or whether out of the fear of others, or out of the fear of one's provisions, or whatever there is, all of this, when a person would have the patience, he would never lose anything, seeking the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The levels of sabr, again, as we said, it's these three levels and the types of sabr and so on. But if we take some of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and this book, by the way, is a very good book, but it's not translated. It's like an encyclopedia book. It's called منارة النعيم في مكارم أخلاق الرسول الكريم. It's compiled by many of the people of knowledge, and they have all the different manners of the Prophet ﷺ. And each manner that is mentioned, they compiled everything in it. They can find every verse in the Quran, every hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that talks about this, and then statement of the people of knowledge. So mashallah, it's a very good thing. It's many volumes, but it's very good how they put things together, and it's very important that we get to learn these types of things in that system, in this way. Quran, hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the sayings of the people of knowledge. When the Prophet ﷺ, for example, he said, عجبا لأمر المؤمن، حديث السوفي، بس عجبا لأمر المؤمن أمره كله خير وليس ذلك لأحد إلا المؤمن. إن أصابته سراء شكر فكان خيرا له وإن أصابته ضراء صبر فكان خيرا له. Amazing is the affairs of the believers. Everything is good for the believers. If something good happens to them, they are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's good for them. If something that is bad to them, right, that they don't like, and they are being patient, and that's better for them, and it's good for them, they are rewarded for this. And there is nothing better for a person to seek the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, witnessing the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in everything, and one of which is the orders of Allah. So to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in everything that a person do, this is definitely something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would want from the believers too. The Prophet ﷺ, and how he endured patience and to make the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala superior, and the things and the tests that the Prophet ﷺ went through. This morning I was talking to some of the students with regards to the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. You would find sometimes when people talk about the seerah, they just talk about the story of the Prophet ﷺ. But we need to look into the things that we need to benefit, and how to follow the Prophet ﷺ in the things that are mentioned. One of which is when the Prophet ﷺ decided, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered him to make the hijrah from Mecca to Al-Madinah. And at the same time, the people of Quraysh, they got together to kill the Prophet ﷺ. And with the different opinions, and they were worried if somebody would go kill the Prophet ﷺ, then the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ would revenge from the tribe of the one that killed him. Because the tribal relations, even if they have difference with religion, but still it would overtake them. So they decided, by the whisper of the shaitan, that they take a man from every tribe, right, and they would go to the house of the Prophet ﷺ, and they all try to kill the Prophet ﷺ with one hit, so that the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ won't be able to take revenge from one tribe. It's all the tribes now, so they won't do anything. So when they decided to do this, and this is when the order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Prophet ﷺ to migrate, and the Prophet ﷺ was keeping it secret, nobody knew about it. Even Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when the Prophet ﷺ told him to prepare the rahila, to prepare the camels, he didn't know why. And when the Prophet ﷺ went to him and he told him that this is the order to make hijrah, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he wept, because this was the moment that he was waiting for, to receive the honor to be the companion of the Prophet ﷺ in such a blessed journey. So the point here is that the people of Quraysh, the same people that they were plotting to kill the Prophet ﷺ, and they were torturing the companions and so on, they were the same people that they would still keep their money with the Prophet ﷺ because he was trustworthy and known for them that even they are trying to kill him, he would not betray them with their money. Right? What level of patience and what level of good manners that is. And this is the perfection of the manners of the Prophet ﷺ, that it's miraculous by itself. You imagine someone is want to kill you, and at the same time, he's making, please keep the money with you. Keep my money with you because I cannot trust anyone more than you. And by the way, I want to kill you. And I will do all the means to kill you. You cannot imagine someone like this will be on the face of earth, right? Because of how they knew from the Prophet that he would never والسلام, have that revenge that human beings normally would do. Right? And the Prophet said, لا تخن من خانك ولا تظلم من ظلمك. Do not betray the one that betrays you, and do not commit injustice to the one that commits injustice in you. So this is one thing. And then you add to this is when the Prophet ﷺ, when he ordered Ali radiallahu anhu, when he told Ali to stay in his place, right? Because they were surrounding the house of the Prophet ﷺ, waiting for the moment to go and kill him. So Ali ibn Abi Talib, he stayed in the place of the Prophet ﷺ. For what reason? Right? For the reason that the Prophet ﷺ, well, if he leaves and he didn't tell anyone, so that he would return the money of the people back to them when the Prophet ﷺ leaves. So even at the moment that they are plotting to kill him and they're standing outside, right, he would still, ﷺ, would not take their money because they entrusted him with this money, that he need to give it back to them again. This is the level of sabr that a person should have when it comes to the good manners. For example, we complain that we don't have good manners. We don't have good manners with the closest people to us, the wife, the children, whatever, right? This is something that if we know that about ourselves, then we have to do something. We have to endure the patience, seeking the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be the best. And whenever we slip away, we return and we repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the person keeps improving oneself. But there's no such a thing that the person will be satisfied with his status, and people would say, well, this is me. You know, I get angry quickly. And this is my nature. And as if this is an excuse to continue to be like this. This is not an excuse if the Prophet ﷺ said to a man, لا تغضب, do not get angry, meaning do not act according to your anger in a foolish way, that you would commit sins or whatever, or act with bad manners, right? It doesn't mean that this is over the capacity of the human being. This is deen then. It's not your nature. Okay, you get angry quickly, then no problem. And then you can stay like this. So things like this. And that's why everything that we see, and the opposite of that, you should not compromise the deen of Islam. A Muslim, a human being, we have to get angry. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, he said, the one that doesn't get angry, he's a donkey, right? A human being, they have to get angry. It's not about getting angry, it's how do you act when you get angry, right? Do you commit injustices when you get angry, or you still follow the deen when you're angry? When you're extremely happy and when you're extremely angry. And that's what the two situations that we need to watch ourselves so much. When a person is very happy, sins sometimes are committed because the person is in state of forgetfulness. Or when the person is so extremely sad, also sins can be committed as a result of that. That's why the person should make the decision that he would follow the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not according to our desires, but according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. The Prophet, in the last hadith, inshallah ta'ala, for tonight, from Isha radiallahu anha, when hadith Sahih Muslim, when she said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, هل أتى عليك يوم كان أشد من يوم أحد? She said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was there any day that you witnessed, O Prophet of Allah, that was more tough on you than the day of Uhud, the battle of Uhud, when 70 of the companions martyred and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was wounded and so on? He said, لَقَدْ لَقِيتُ مِنْ قَوْمِكِ مَا لَقِيتُ. He said, I've taken or I've witnessed and get affected by many of the things of your people, meaning the people of Quraysh afflicted so many things on the Prophet ﷺ, and the most severe of what I've seen from them or affected by them that they did to the Prophet ﷺ was the day of Al-Aqaba, إِذْ عَرَضْتُ نَفْسِي عَلَى ابْنِ عَبْدِ يَلَيْ عَبْدِ كِلَابٍ. When the Prophet ﷺ went to Al-Ta'if, and when he presented himself and he gave da'wah to them, right? And nobody responded, no one. And this is the best man ever walked on the face of earth. The best in eloquency of speech, the best in manners, the best in everything, right? And nobody accepted his message when he went to Ta'if at that incident, right? And that's why the message here is that guidance is in the hands of Allah, but it's the job that a person has to take to convey the truth. So he said, فَانْطَلَقْتُ وَأَنَا مَهْمُومًا. This is the most severe thing that experienced by the Prophet ﷺ. Not the physical pain that he got in the battle of Uhud, it's this. So he said, so I left and I was so concerned and so sad. فَلَمْ أَسْتَفِقْ إِلَّا وَأَنَا لُقَرْنِ الثَّعَالِ. And I'm having a hard time translating this exactly the way the wordings are. So maybe you can help me out. The Prophet ﷺ, he was so concerned and so sad that all of a sudden he found himself is by the place of Qarn al-Tha'al. I raised my head and there was a sahaba, a cloud, giving me shade. And I looked in it and it was Jibreel alayhi salam. So he called me. فقال إن الله قد سمع قول قومك لك وما رد عليك. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala heard what your people said to you and what they responded to you. And he had sent to you Malak al-Jibal. He sent to you the angel of the mountains. لتأمره بما شئت فيهم. So that you would order him to do whatever you want to them. See the situation where they sent the children to throw stones on the Prophet ﷺ, and he bled ﷺ, that his shoes or so was full of blood. And he's the Prophet of Allah, right? And he's calling them to the truth. Sometimes you call someone, you advise someone, a Muslim, right? And he tell you, it's your business, it's my business, right? Get away from me. Imagine some Muslim does that to you. You would never talk to that person for the rest of your life. And it would be, that's it, that's the end of it, right? It's, how can he say this? And we would justify our reaction because he's opposing the truth. But in reality, it's something to do with our hearts, that it's our personal ego that get attacked, and not that the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is concerning us. So the Prophet ﷺ, this is what they did to the Prophet of Allah, والسلام, and the angel of the mountains has been given to him for him to order him to do anything and to collapse the mountains on them and to kill them all. And this is not a sinful act, of course, because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is offering to the Prophet ﷺ. That means that it is justified for them to happen to them this way, because they rejected the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ said, فَنَدَانِ مَلَكُ الْجِبَالِ, the angel of the mountains, he called me, and فَسَلَّمَ عَلَيْهِ, he said salam to me, ثُمَّ قَالَ يَا مُحَمَّدْ وَمُحَمَّدْ فَقَالَ ذَلِكَ فِي مَا شِئْتَ إِنْ شِئْتَ أَنْ أُطْبِقَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَخْشَبَيْنِ. This is whatever you wish. If you wish, I would collapse the two mountains al-Akhshabayn on them. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, بل أرجو أن يخرج الله من أصلابهم من يعبد الله وحده لا يشرك به شيئا. He said, but I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will get out of their loins, their offsprings, those who would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and do not associate partners with Allah. This is the level of good manners that sometimes we don't remember with it, the patience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Prophet ﷺ. The benefit was for what? The benefit of the deen. That's what concerned the Prophet ﷺ. And you can imagine the difference in rewards if the revenge is being done and it's justified, or when you see the generations and all the Ta'if and what's around it, all they became Muslims, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, and they are on the balance of the deeds of the Prophet ﷺ. So patience in all means, basically. Any good thing that a person wants to achieve and to do is to seek the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to know, and that's why the Muslim, once we realize this, that our concern really, what is the most important thing in our life? When we talk about this, is this deed is sometimes it's difficult for me, or how can I do this, or how can I do that? No, the most concern of the Muslim is to know. To have the knowledge that this is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you. That's the main concern. Once you know, the matter is over. Right? That means you need to do it. Can we do it on our own? Of course not. The person needs the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you would seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not that the struggle is, should I do it or should I not do it? Is it good for me or it's not good for me? Of course, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us is good for us. So it's not the struggle that should I do it or not. No, the struggle is it really what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us or no. If we know for sure that the matter is finished and the person would endure the patience and seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on, would choose the importance of knowledge, the proper knowledge from the Quran and the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Inshallah, we'll continue with some of the good examples and some of the verses that talks about Salah.